Hi, Leo. Welcome to the Modern Spiritualists. My name is Raheem. Today we're going to do the general December reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So if you know your sun sign and it's Leo, you're in the right place. If you know your moon and your rising signs, make sure to look for those as well. It will give you more insight into your current situation specifically. Take in mind these are general readings, so take what resonates, leave what does not. If you would like to schedule a private reading with me, so it's all you, you can do so in the description box below. I did a bit of a different spread today. I did an overlay, which is using different decks for the same spread. So I'm using Thoth, Jungian, Tarot, and Albano Waite, all lovely decks, my three favorite, in fact. And we're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And so while I'm kind of splitting these into distinct parts, we're going to look at things holistically because there's always connections between things. And we'll just see what comes through. So let's get started. So we're going to look at health first. Coming in really strong with health, we have the Four of Wands, which means you have a firm foundation. You know what you're doing in terms of your health. What's nice about the Four is it's a very holistic energy, and so it's kind of like all aspects of your life are covered. And so I think the only thing that I would say about this is don't get complacent. One thing that I notice about health is once you hit a certain point, there's like always more to go. And so as you grow and change and your body grows and changes and you do get healthier and you make different changes to your life, there seems to like always be another step. Like you never hit the optimum health. You know what I mean? Like there's always something that you can do and tweak when you hit certain milestones. And so you're feeling good about your health, and that's great. You can settle into that for a little while, but keep in mind that eventually you will need to make changes. Health is not something that you just stop thinking about, right? So just keep that in mind. We have the Three of Pentacles reversed here. I actually like this for you. I think what I'm getting is that you are making the decisions that you need to make about your own health without input from others. And so if somebody else has some sort of like idea for you that doesn't resonate with you, you're just not taking it, or you're not compromising your own health for the people in your life. I know that I used to do that when I had roommates. I didn't eat as well. I watched more TV. I wasn't as productive in terms of like, working out or like things I could do on my time off because I would just kind of sink into their habit patterns. And so what this is saying is that you're not doing that. You're not holding yourself to what people in your household or people that you're around a lot are doing. You're kind of just doing your own thing, taking care of your diet, your exercise, your wellness in any way that you can, and totally individualizing yourself, separating yourself from like the herd mentality of whatever you're kind of dealing with. And so this is good. You're making the choices that you need to make for you, and you're not listening to input that doesn't matter or doesn't make sense to you. So that's great. We have the Four of Swords reversed. Make sure to take time for yourself this month. Those of you that are really busy or engaged in other things or kind of caught up in the holiday frenzy, or just caught up in your own process. I mean, some of you are really hard workers in, the area of your own spirituality and growth in life process. And not going to tell you to stop, obviously, but I would just say, like, dick around a little this month. I mean, it's a holiday season. It's, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it is yin time, which means it is a time for rest and recuperation. And so with the Four of Swords, I'm just getting that you're resisting. Like there's kind of this need to be like, make sure you're staying on your exercise regimen, make sure that you're keeping up with your health and your diet and whatever. And I love the momentum and I love the dedication and the discipline, but eat some fucking cake on Christmas. You know what I mean? Fucking take a day off from running or exercising or whatever it is that you're doing and lay in bed and watch Netflix. Like do something that's going to help you want to stay engaged, because if we stay on a track too long, we get bored. And if we're on that track where we're, self-disciplining too much, eventually we're going to rebel. And when we rebel, we binge, right? And so I would say, especially with Leo, because you're very concerned with your appearance, generally speaking. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm a Leo moon, 10th house. I am so concerned with my appearance, and I'm not ashamed of that at all. But don't get caught up in this need for serious structure to upkeep something when something in you is going to want to rebel eventually if you're too structured. And so instead of hitting that moment where you're like, fuck everything, right? Make sure that you're at least scheduling, if not going with the flow, whatever makes sense to you, at least making time for, days where you break your diet, where you just lay in bed all day, or you just engage in indulgence in some way, shape, or form, because I really do love the health track you're on, and I love that you know what you're doing, and you're in the habit of doing it. And so throwing off the routine every once in a while can only help you at this point because you're already established. You know what I mean? And so what'll help you do that good work is to have a little fun. So I encourage that. And then we have the sun reversed, which is asking you, are you happy with the current health regimen that you are on? Does anything need to be tweaked? Is it too strict? Are you not having enough fun? It's paired with the Four of Swords, so that there's this overlap here. Are you having enough fun? This could also be like just because it's winter for most of us, because it is, not most of us, but in terms of people that watch me. I'm an American. Most Americans are tuning in. So, I lost my train of thought. Those of us that are in wintertime and also dealing with a pandemic, there's kind of this, basic need to stay inside. Most of us are just staying inside in the warmth, or whatever, with, these curfews that have been put in place in a lot of major cities, places like LA where usually you would be outside. It's like, there's curfews in place or whatever. So, you might kind of just get in the habit of staying inside, and the sun reverse can just literally be asking you, like, are you getting enough sunlight? Are you getting vitamin D? And if you really can't be outside because it's freezing or whatever, make sure that you are getting enough vitamin D, like you're either taking tablets or you have like that lamp thing that they make or whatever. What are those called? I can't remember the seasonal effective lamps. Those might be helpful. I used to use one of those just to wake me up in the morning because it trained me into thinking that the sun was up. So like my alarm would go off, I'd turn the lamp on, I'd get back in bed, and then I'd wait for my circadian rhythm to kind of naturally respond to the light. I guess that's a bit of a different subject, but those of you that are productivity hogs, that's actually a really good practice in the winter. What else? This is even asking you to look at like the quality of your air or your oxygen. The winter can be really dry, so like getting a humidifier might help your lungs, especially with the fact that there's this disease affecting the lungs everywhere. So like whatever you can do to like make sure that your lungs are in the best shape possible. And that could be on an energetic level, unblocking your heart chakra, doing heart chakra work. It could also be, buying plants, like indoor plants, that will help the quality of your air within your house, like buying eucalyptus plants or essential oils or bath bombs or like anything that's going to open up the lungs, because that's going to help you stay in optimal health through the winter months. So look at all that. Vitamin D is important. Air quality is important. Okay, so let's look at wealth. We have the Princess of Swords reversed. There's something so creative and destructive about this card. Because the thing about swords, the sneaky thing about swords is if your mind is not aligned with your heart and your belly, it will do whatever it wants and will think it's true. And so, careful about your own stories around wealth or scarcity or meaningful work in the world or anything like that. All these cards are reversed, so be really careful with your own stories this month. I'm really merging on a big thought that I want to try to put into words. I'm getting a really big hit also. Solar plexus and heart. The key thing here is your mind in a spin without your body's input? Because we live in Western society, we tend to, unless we're engaged in deep spiritual work, we tend to not think about the fact that our mind's on its own track. Sometimes we're trained to kind of cut off our mind at the throat and only focus on what's going on in the mind. And what that does is it creates a false sense of reality, because you're not grounded, you're not communicating with the earth, you're not listening to your heart and your gut's natural reaction to the world around you and the energy around you. And so you can become a conceptual mess, right? And so if you are working on an idea, which the Princess of Swords is about ideation, something you want to bring out into the world, something meaningful and inspired and intelligent, whether it's a project at work or your business idea or the idea for your new book, whatever that is, don't trap yourself. I get the sense the idea is good, just don't overthink it. I get the sense that maybe the first idea is the best idea. I also get the sense that if you're hitting a wall with an idea, there might be this tendency to want to just try to bust through the wall and just keep hacking away, and Four of Swords reversed, wearing yourself down and burning out. And it's just not energy efficient. It's going to frustrate you, and it's not going to lead anywhere because you're not looking for the creative solution. You're not taking a break from it. You're not asking yourself, okay, why isn't this working? And it may just be because only your mind is engaged. Is your heart engaged with what you're doing? Is your body engaged with what you're doing? Because if not, it's not the thing for you. I mean, your mind just might be on some sort of train ride that isn't your highest good or isn't really authentic to you. It's just an idea that has taken off in some higher hemisphere of your mind, and not that there isn't like nutrients in it, but that it's having this idea in your mind is having a life of its own without you. And I know that's really abstract, so I want to try to break this down a little bit more. Let's say you have the idea for your novel, and it's a good idea, it's a solid idea, it has heart and meaning for you. As you start to make the outline, hack away at the story, figure out the logistics of the story so that everything's cohesive. The crazy thing about book writing is, like, does it make sense from page 1 to page 101, or are there like loopholes or whatever? And you may be kind of too lost in that. And so your mind's working overtime, and you're not listening to your intuition, or you're not listening to where your body or your heart wants to take it. And so there's no flow of the ideation. It's just your mind trapping itself and trying to ravel and unravel and wind stories. And so then what you're left with is this like tangled ball of thread, rather than like my helping spirit spider is knocking on the door. Basically, those spider webs that are like crazy, like there's like no pattern or whatever, because that kind of spider is not an artist. It's just trying to trap things. And so literally what your mind might be doing is like trying to trap ideas or concepts and like ravel this thread together, whatever. And there's no real cohesion because it's not coming from the heart. There's no beauty in it. It's just the mind creating concept, and there's no real connection, or the pattern is blotchy, or something's missing. And so think of an orb weaver spider, or any other spider that like spins these beautiful webs that kind of look like a mandala, because there's that center and then they kind of flow out. Because that spider is an artist. Yes, it's trying to eat. It's trying to trap whatever so it can eat and stay alive. And I think that's the same thing for your wealth in the world right now, whatever this idea is. Like, yeah, I want to make money, right? But don't forget about the art. Don't get lost in the idea or the outcome and forget about the fact that what you're trying to weave is this beautiful story. And so whatever this is, whether it's an art project or a work project, or the idea for your business or whatever, is it art to you? Does it have heart and meaning, or did you get lost in the weeds a little bit? And how can you bring it back? How can you bring it back into your heart, into your belly, and simplify? Important to simplify. I think your ideas are hatching ideas, and it's just getting a little bit more and more nebulous as time goes on. If you bring it back into your body and ground it back into the earth, what's going to be left is simple truth, right? So listen to the earth, listen to your body, listen to your heart. Simple truth. That's what you want to craft around, okay? Queen of Swords, showing up twice. It shows up in your wealth and your love. It's in the reverse in your wealth section. Again, I think you're leaning on your mind too much. I think it's too much mind, too much identification with whatever this idea is, that I don't think has left the ground yet. Like, you're still in the ideation period, and just not enough input from the rest of you. And you're not just your mind. Somebody needs to hear that. You are not your mind, okay? You're not. Descartes is a liar. You are not your mind. You are an entire full network of body, mind, soul. You are the entire universe inside yourself. There's so many other things going on. You are a being. You're not just your mind, okay? Your mind is one aspect of you, and if you let it get out of control, the mind eats itself. You know what I mean? So bring balance back into your life, at least in terms of what you're trying to do in your work in the world, what you're trying to do to bring home the bacon, whatever it is, whatever has value to you in the wealth section, which it might not even be money. Maybe it's something else that you value. I don't know. But I think you're over-identified with this idea, and I think that's part of the problem. I think the over-identification is preventing it from being aligned with the universe in your heart and soul. I mean, ultimately, what you want to do is going to have real meaning for you, right? And so I kind of think of it as like you might just be on an academic circle jerk. And I'm not an academic, but I say that to mean, like, are you just trying to, like, show off your best idea, or, like, this intricate kind of narrative that weaves all these logical stories, or, like, the things that you know together, instead of the things that you know in your heart because it's intuitive and it's a part of you and it's a part of your unique genius in the world. I don't think you have to show off. I don't think you need to show off. And so if you stop trying to show off, the real energy will come out of this. The second you try to stop making sure you have the audience, or that people are going to listen to you, or the outside validation that you're trying to get from this idea, the second you stop trying to do that, or like run this by something outside of you, you're going to come back into the flow. Like, the flow is going to come back. So take your ego out of it. Sometimes it's helpful for me to just, like, stop my project altogether. And sometimes I'll even take months off because I hit this point where I'm like, okay, I know that I'm over-identified, and that's why the art isn't happening anymore. Like, the creation isn't happening anymore. It's just I'm back on the conceptual circle jerk, right? And that's not where you want to be. So use this as a time to just quiet your mind. Even if it's just like, take a step back, meditate, you know? Get used to what it feels like to breathe and to be one with your breath and your own rhythm instead of your mind hijacking everything. And I'm not trying to make an enemy of your mind. It's just we've learned to be over-dependent on it, so it thinks it has to do everything. And, you know, you hit a place in your own process where you realize, like, you need to give your mind some time off to get the rest of you online and then give your mind a new job. And so that just may be where you're at. Like, your mind needs a new job. and you need to let your heart and your body kind of take this project over for a little while. So stop identifying. Stop trying to create an outcome that isn't going to happen because you're too focused on the future and not the present moment. Like, you're too focused on the outcome. And things can't come to life if you don't give it your full attention in the present moment as it is right now. Okay, so get present. That is my message to you, I think, in terms of wealth. Get present. What is your present moment? What do you want to say? What do you feel? What do you feel? And we have the Eight of Cups reversed. Something's not working, Leo. Something about this project or your work or whatever is not working for you. And I think it's upsetting because you put a lot of energy into this. With the Eight of Cups direct, it means you're walking away from something. You're letting something go, but you're not letting go with flying colors. It's like, you know, there's something better out there for you, but you put a lot of heart and meaning into this, and you just hit a point where it's not working anymore. I think what's important to keep in mind with the Eight of Cups is you were doing it for a reason, and you were doing it to learn a lesson ultimately. And so you learned the lesson, even though it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. You got something out of it, and I want you to remember that, okay? Because Eight of Cups in reverse, it just means you're resistant to moving on. You don't want to let go. There may be a lot of grief that you're kind of dragging out because you don't want to let it go, and so you're actually grieving for longer because of the resistance that's coming up. And like, I know what it feels like to put so much work into something and to realize it's not for you. I know what that feels like. It's really hard. But once you do let go, you are going to feel so much better. I feel so much relief in your future. And also, by the way, this may not be related to the first two cards. You may be in a period where you're letting something go, but this idea that you have with the Princess of Swords, this may be a new idea that that you're globbing onto because this is no longer working. And so what I want to say about that is, don't repeat a pattern, okay? This may not have worked because you were too focused on outcome, too over-identified with it, too humping the conceptual horse, you know what I mean? That's a really weird thing for me to say, but I stand by it. Because there's something masturbatory about this pattern that you're in, where it's too much about the identification, or like how you identify with it, and not enough about the thing itself. And so you are being hijacked. Your heart is not in this. Your ego. This is an ego game. And what I would like you to do is to not repeat that pattern with this new thing. This didn't work out because you were doing that, because your heart wasn't in it, because your mind took over, because your ego took over. And that's a really harsh thing for me to say. I recognize that. But as a Leo moon, I'm swallowing this pill too, so I'm just going to keep going. This is asking you to break that pattern now. Do not get lost, because this is good. This idea that you have is good. Don't get lost. Do this because you love it. Do this because it's authentic to you. Drop the outcome. Drop the identification. Let it take on a mind of its own. I find the best art as an artist. The best art comes from when I'm just dicking around and I'm just putting sounds together and I'm like letting words kind of flow through me, and eventually it takes its own form and it says its own thing. I may come to, I may come to something with an idea. Like I may say I have this idea for a song, right? And I sit down to try to make what I'm hearing in my head become a reality. And often when I'm in a good flow, it deviates from the idea and it takes on its own form and it says its own thing that I was only subconsciously aware of. And I kind of only understand what the song is saying once it's done and I've listened a few times. Um, and it's often far more profound than my original idea. But then I also have times where I have this idea for a song and I'm too attached to it, and I sit down and I try to make it happen, and the song tries to take on its own form, and I don't let it, and then I'm blocked, and a song doesn't happen. I don't make a song that day. You know what I mean? I hack away and hack away. Sometimes I spend hours, but I'm left with nothing because I didn't let it become the thing that it wanted to be. I stopped it from happening. And so that's what I don't want you to do this time with whatever this idea or project is. Let it be what it is, and let it take its own energy based on what you're channeling. Let the universe get involved, you know. Let the earth bring her dreaming into it. This is not all about you. It's really not. Whatever you're doing, you're the channel for it. You're the unique genius. Nobody can do it but you, and yet it is so much bigger than you, so let it be bigger than you. And then you'll take a lot of pressure off yourself too, because it's not like this is your brainchild, and that's the masturbatory thing I'm talking about. Like, this is mine, right? No. Let that go. Let that go. Stop self-identifying and just do the work because it's good work. Okay? And congratulations, because you get to do it. You know what I mean? And that's so much more gratifying. So much more gratifying. Okay, I said a lot of things there. So let's move on to love. First, I pulled the Queen of Swords, and the Three of Cups fell out, and I almost put it back in the deck, but I just didn't want to. So let's start with the Queen of Swords. Again, it showed up in your wealth in the reversal. It's in the upright in your love, and so I actually would encourage you to think more logically about your relationship situation. If you're in a new relationship and you're lost in your feelings, you may be deviating from what it is that you really want or you're really envisioning because you're feeling the emotions of meeting someone new. And of course, there's a sexuality component to that where it's just like when you're having sex and it's new and it's awesome, there's like this feeling of like you'll compromise anything in that moment, you know, because it's new and it's exciting. And so watch out for that. If you're single and looking, this is a really good time to figure out what you want, okay? And this is a really good time to decide what you're not going to compromise on. What do you need in a relationship? And if somebody comes along that doesn't have it, don't take up that mantle. What do you want to avoid in a relationship? And if someone comes along, are you willing to recognize that red flag for what it is? I think there's a tendency, especially I think among Leo or Libra types, to really like being liked. And so, you know, there may be this element of like keeping people around because they like you, and not even stopping to think like, oh, do I really like this person back, or do I really want to pursue something with this person? So that's a thing to look out for as well. There's something else that was coming in. Is it still there? Don't compromise. If somebody comes around and they're almost that thing that you're looking for, but they're not, don't settle. Something else is going to come around. Okay, scarcity. That's what I was thinking. Don't get into a pattern where you will accept almost what you want because you think that what you want doesn't exist or won't come around or won't want you, or you won't recognize it when it does present itself or whatever. There's plenty to go around. There are so many people on the planet. Sometimes it's just a timing thing. Like you meet someone and they could be the right person in 5 years and they're not now. You know what I mean? And that's really frustrating. Or maybe you're just not ready, or they're not ready, or there's some sort of missed, this feeling of like not syncing up at the right time, even though that is the thing that you want. And so don't despair. Don't compromise. That thing that you want in a person will show up for you when it's time for that. And so just use this as a time to clarify what relationship you want. What do you want? I mean, this is a great time during a pandemic too, because Most of us aren't jumping into new relationships because of the limited capacity. I've gone on some social distance dates. It is the worst. It is just frustrating, especially when the people are cool. You know what I mean? It's like, what can you do right now? So if you're frustrated, I get it. But all the more reason to continue to date, talk to people, and clarify what you want. If you're in a relationship, this is a good time to, I don't want to say get nitpicky, but if there's just something that you need to say or compromise on, or some sort of change you want to make, I encourage you to speak up. Just exercise as much tact as possible. Or this Queen of Swords could be your partner, in which case, maybe they're just a lot more logical, rational, or even cold towards your relationship than you are. And so maybe there's just this feeling of like you're not getting the flame that you need. Maybe because they're just not that person. Maybe because there's a block between you two. And so you have a decision to make in that kind of aspect where it's like, do I accept this person as they are, and can I give myself the warmth that they're not giving me because that's just not their personality profile, right? Or is this person wrong for me because they're not giving me that? And so, or can you say something to try to figure out whatever that block is? And so, I mean, those are three options there. So there's plenty to work with. I think plenty to figure out. This is a time to figure out what you want or what's not working. But keep in mind, this is paired with the Three of Cups, which is the card I almost put back, but I couldn't because it felt important. Some of you have multiple options. So those of you that are like single and looking or dating around or whatever, maybe there's a couple of people or even three that you've got your eye on. And I think what's tripping you up is they're all good options. And so, I mean, Three of Cups is a pretty good card for like a polyamorous situation, which is something you could, of course, talk about if that's not where you're at. I would just say continue with what you're doing. Continue to get to know these people until something really resonates with you in a way that feels like you can take the next step. Again, this is about having options. These cards together is about having multiple options and weighing those options. So, I mean, this is a good place. This is a place of, not necessarily needing to commit right now. If you're single and not looking, or you're not focused on intimate relationship, this could be just your relationship with yourself. So you have many options here about how you want to move forward within your own capacity for self-love, self-compassion. If this is related to work in the world, it's saying that you have multiple ideas to toy around with, and they're all good ideas. So, celebrate that brainstorming or whatever it is, and continue to play with your ideas until something really starts to sink and starts to resonate. You might also have something to celebrate here. So this could be a wedding, or taking a relationship to the next step, or something like that. And if that is the case, congratulations. This could also be you're pregnant. It could be, but that's not going to be for all of you, so don't freak out, right? If this means you're pregnant, you wanted to be. I'll say it that way. Seven of Swords. Okay, so in a situation where you're in a relationship and the other person, or you, I guess, but I feel mostly the other person, is cold, indifferent, critical, judgmental, too rational for your liking, too logical for your liking, not enough warmth. That story. You're going to have to hack away at that because, I mean, this is kind of a weeding out process of like airing, and this is true for Queen of Swords as well. Queen of Swords is all about truth. this is like airing your grievances. Like, what is the problem? For those of you that have a block, and that's why, you know, you don't have access to like the warmth or whatever that you want from this relationship. I mean, generally swords in a place where you should see cups can be a little bit disarming. It's time to weed out the lies. So, in a situation where somebody's cheating and you know it, or they cheated in the past and you haven't gotten over it, or there's been some sort of situation in the past where like they wronged you or you wronged them, and one or both of you have not gotten over it, or if they're just keeping secrets from you in terms of like if they feel like leaving, and that's, you know, that's, again, that's not for everyone, don't freak out, but if they feel like leaving and that resonates with you, or they're holding things against you and they're not talking about it, or if you're doing that to them. Seven of Swords is saying it's a time to take a look at that, because this is weighing down your relationship, and it doesn't need to be. And so for some of you, this may be like you have a decision to make and it's time to leave. But I'm not really getting that because there's no death cards or anything here in this section. So I think what you need to do is just weed out these painful moments in your relationship and really discuss them and talk about them and see what resentments you guys are holding against each other, so that you can move on and move forward in the relationship and develop greater intimacy, because I'm just feeling a bit of a wall, and it's because of these. Maybe they're just micro moments or little moments here and there that have built up because they weren't aired. It's time to speak truth or ask for truth if you're the person that just feels like something's off, okay? Single and looking. Make sure that you're being open with the people that you are talking to about what you want, because there may be a sense of like, you're talking to them, you've been talking for a while, but you're not being upfront about how you're feeling about them or what you want from that relationship, or like where you're really at in terms of love and intimacy. And so this just may be a time where you need to start talking about those things with your person or your people or whatever, so they know where you're at and so you know where they're at. Because I just sense not lies, but I sense a holding back for whatever reason. And so it may just be time to open that line of communication. This could also be if you're just talking to too many people and you need to be focusing on other things like yourself or your health or your wealth or whatever. This could just be time to weed out people that you know aren't ultimately going to serve you, because you might just be leaking energy, like you've got energy cords out with other people and you don't need to have that. And so some of you may just need to narrow your options. With this Three of Cups, maybe narrow it down to 2 or 3 people. Quit talking to 20, you know? So look at that. Single, not looking, or just not focused on intimate relationship. Not the focus, not the goal, not the problem. In what areas, in what ways are you lying to yourself? And I'm getting a hit kind of back to this Princess of Swords. And I'm also getting a hit to my solar plexus. So issues of will, power, intention, self-confidence, which the flip side of that being insecurity, shame, feeling small, not stepping into your power, not setting your intentions, backing yourself into a corner. Look at your negative self-talk. In what ways are you keeping yourself away from intimacy with yourself because you shame yourself, because you doubt yourself, because you tell yourself certain stories about, your body or your intelligence or your, or how other people feel about you. If you feel judgments from other people, it's probably not there. You're probably just judging yourself. You know what I mean? Because people are a mirror. So look at all that good stuff and see how you can be more compassionate and tender with yourself and start to weed out these negative narratives and find out why they're there. Who are the voices behind those things? Not so you can blame, but so you can understand And then how can you heal? How can you bring real healing to those narratives? That is a really big hit on my solar plexus. So regardless, I think, of whether you are in an intimate situation with somebody else, and again, this could just be their own criticism and judgment, Queen of Swords, and you just need to air those things as well. Why are they judging you, criticizing you, whatever? Regardless of all of that, this is about you and your relationship with yourself. And so I want all Leos to take this away. Where are you shaming yourself and why? What areas are you shaming yourself and why? And how can you stop? How can you flip that script and empower yourself instead of tearing yourself down? Because I don't like that. Please stop doing that. Okay. Knight of Wands. This is good. Once you clear this stuff out, once you address the Seven of Swords energy, and you either air your grievances, talk out your differences, weed out the people that you're talking to that you know you're not going to date, or you know just aren't a good match for you, or they're red flag people or whatever. Once you tell your partner or potential partner or dates or people you're talking to what you want and ask them what they want from you, this is like off to the races. It's going to clear so much energy. Once the energy is cleared, there's a lot of forward momentum. So maybe this is the offering of love. Do you want to go out with me? Do you want to marry me? Maybe this is if you've been together for a really long time and you just hit this point where there's a wall between you. Once that wall is removed, it's like, what are we going to do differently to change that story so that we're more intimate with each other? It's like, do you have to go on a trip? Please wait till after the pandemic, but do you have to go on a trip? Do you want to do an activity together? Do you need to spend more time together? What can you do to get out of your holding pattern so that you spice up your relationship a bit more? Single, not looking, not focused on relationship. This is freeing up your own energy. Once you eradicate those negative self-narratives that are keeping you small and keeping you from pursuing the things that have heart and meaning for you, again, you're just going to take off. That fire is going to surge. You're going to have the idea. You're going to have the connection to your heart and your soul and your body. And suddenly, this conceptual horse is going to dissipate. And it's just going to be you and your idea. And there's going to be a lot of direction. There's going to be simplicity. There's going to be forward momentum. There's going to be opportunity, because you are suddenly back in the flow. And when you're back in the flow, everything opens up. Everything outside of you starts to open up. People start talking to you. They ask you about your idea. They want to get involved. They want to fund you. All these things start to happen. And it feels fast. So there's a really big resistance once that's cleared, because you bring truth to the matter. It's just like, boom, and you're flying, okay? Kind of like a chariot. You're just flying. Destiny. We have the universe reversed. This Princess of Swords is very linked to your destiny. Whatever this idea is about your work in the world, how you're going to bring in the money, how you're going to bring in the resources, how you're going to express whatever has value and worth to you, these are linked. So this is a destiny path for you. This wealth in particular is a destiny path for you. Universe reversed just means that it's not time to go forward out in the world yet. Like, you're still gestating. It's like you have the idea, you're keeping it close, and that is not a bad thing. This just means it's not time to publish the book yet, right? Maybe you just want to be quiet about what you're doing, so that other people don't get into your head. This is something that I swear by, both on a manifestation level, and on a level of like the understanding that nobody else can tell me my path, and I don't want to give them any opportunities to get in the way of that. And so it's like when I have a really good idea that I haven't taken action on or manifested or seen results of yet, I keep that to myself, because nobody is going to get inside my head and tell me I can't. You know what I mean? So some of you may just feel a little self-protective about whatever your idea is. I think that's great. Hold your ideas closely. And the closer they are to your own heart, the closer you should hold them. And only voice those things to people that you know you can trust, that you know will support you, and that aren't gonna, bring anything to you that isn't exactly what you want to manifest. It's really important to protect your energy here. It is not a time to be too open or vulnerable. Not because you won't be able to eventually when you move forward and when you publish, but because your idea is a very tender little egg right now, and we don't want to break it. And so, right now, keep it safe. Keep it safe, and only bring people in close when you know you can trust them. Because the whole universe is in this idea. I mean, this is, for some of you, this is the thing that you have been waiting for all your life to express, to release. This is the business idea. This is the book that is, basically your child. This is the thing. And, I don't want to scare you, because it's going to be fine, especially if this is the thing, like, it's going to be fine. You're going to find a way. The universe is going to find a way. But I want you to clear all these negative narratives and self-doubt and self-talk that has maybe kept you from reaching this point for a long time, or kept you from releasing for a long time. And so take care of this egg, please. It's important. Take care of it, because this is the thing for some of you. For others of you, I mean, it just is a big thing. If you've already released the thing, this is just like, an additional leveling up, so to speak, or a new project or whatever. And I don't want to also make a big to-do about the fact that this is the thing, because it's not like there's ever any one thing. I mean, you have so much life ahead of you, and there's going to be plenty of things. But for some of you, this feels like you're about to burst through a carapace that you have never bursted through before, and this may be just a really, really exciting time in terms of what you are trying to bring into the world that is soul-led, that is a big, important vehicle for your soul's purpose, and I just want you to keep it safe. I just want you to keep it safe, so keep it safe. We have the Death card reversed. You've just left a really big cycle. You have left a lot of things behind that weren't serving you. The reversal, all I'm getting is that this was purely internal, so you're a new energetic framework coming into January 2021. You are a new person in a lot of ways. You've let a lot of old selves and old narratives and things die out. You've let a lot of projects die out. 8 of Cups reversed, right? So this is good, because this is your uncarved wood, as we say in Taoism. This is pure potential, because we have both of these things here. And so death means you ended a cycle. Universe means you're starting a new one, a particularly meaningful one, a karmic one. And it also suggests that you're breaking patterns and making new ones. And so, again, that's a repeat here of make sure with this 8 of Cups, whatever you're leaving behind, you break the pattern and you're making new ones with this Princess of Swords. Don't repeat the pattern that you did in the past that wasn't working, And I think with the universe here, there's a lot of safety in that. I think you're there. I don't think there's much of a worry, especially as long as you're listening to this and taking in what I'm saying. I don't think there's much of a worry. I don't think you're going to drop the ball. I think you're going to be fine. I think the egg's going to be protected. You have so much, I'm hearing an echo of something. You have so much support behind you, so much universe support. They're helping you protect this idea. They're helping you keep it safe. And so if you tap into that protection, there's a lot of peace and calm coming out of that. And ask for help. Ask the universe, ask your spirit guides, ask for help. Because of free will, they can only do so much if you don't ask. And so that's why it's really, really key when you have a particular thing you're trying to keep safe, or you're trying to develop, or you're trying to put out into the world. If you ask at every point, help me with this, help me with this, help me with this, they will. But they're going to take a back seat if you don't ask, because, the support is there, the protection is there. This is really not my thought, so I kind of have to lean into this. They can only help you as much as you ask. But it's really important to keep in mind that they so want to help you. And it's actually frustrating to them. It's frustrating when you don't ask for help because they so want to, and they're just honoring that boundary. You didn't ask, so. And that's a really important, I think, lesson to understand in terms of, our lives as humans is like, if you're trying to help people when they didn't ask, you are overstepping a boundary. So that's a really good just thing to understand, I think, from what these helping spirits are saying to me right now is that is a perfect example of honoring boundaries. And, the frustration when you can't help someone is real, but if they don't ask, then it's not really help. And so if you want help from the universe, if you feel like you need extra protection, if you feel like you just need some more support, some more stability, some more grounding, if you feel like you need help fleshing out the ideas, the divine is great for that because it is the creator. I mean, it knows how to create. It can help you. It can help you. Let it help you. And that's a big, important component, too, of letting the ego die in terms of this project that you're working on. Because if the ego's in the way, you're not getting the good ideas. It's just the mind trap again, right? The crazy spider web that has no cohesion. The universe wants to work with you, wants to make this something that is stable, well thought out, has a chi of its own, and so when it's released from you, it's a co-creation. It's something that you and the universe crafted together, and that is the potential here. And that's huge. That is huge. I don't think I can stress how huge that is. Ask for help. Talk to the spirits. Do it. And you will be able to do that more easily when you clear out shame stories, because shame disconnects you. Shame disconnects you from the divine. And there's a whole big thing I could say about, the Judeo-Christian story that really gets in the way of true relationship with the divine because there's shame wrapped around it. And so if you can get out of the shame story, you're kind of unlimited in terms of how the universe can help you. Because ultimately what's rooted in shame is feeling like you're unworthy or you're undeserving. And if you feel that way, then you can't properly ask for help because you've already decided the answer is no. And so you are worthy, you are deserving, you are not bad in any way, shape, or form. You're fine. The universe made you just the way you are for a reason. So all the traits, everything you have, even the shadow self, even the shadow stuff that you're afraid of or ashamed of is just energy that is trying to express itself authentically. And so I feel like I'm giving this whole ass lecture, but that's just the point that I'm at with reading these cards, where I'm starting to get more downloads and kind of looking at the cards themselves less. So I cannot even articulate how massive this process has the potential to be. If you clear out the shame stories, connect with the divine, drop the ego, bring your heart and soul and body into the conversation, you are co-creating something that I can't put into words because it is completely new. It is your unique genius. It's never been done the way that you're about to do it. And it's going to succeed. It's going to succeed because you did it authentically with the help and aid of the universe. And so how could it not? Okay, this is huge. This is huge. Please do this work. I want to see it. I want to see it, So leave this cycle behind. Leave this cycle behind. Death to the old versions of you that aren't serving you. Death to the shame stories. Life to the unique genius of you. Two of Pentacles. You're going to be busy. You're going to work hard. this month, you're gonna be energy efficient, which is good. The only energy leaks I really got out of this was the sun reversed if you're not getting enough nutrients, vitamin D, good air, or whatever. That's an energy leak. And this Seven of Swords if you're just like dating too many people. That's the only real energy leak here, which puts you in really, really solid shape to do good work. There's something really grounding about the Two of Pentacles, which I like in Destiny for you, especially because we have the Universe card, which is so expansive, that anything you can do to kind of bring it back down to earth is good. Because the universe has infinite potential. Literally anything that can exist does exist somewhere. And so you can get lost in that, right? And so if you can bring this idea back down to earth in a way where you can actually wrap it into a package and give it out into our physical material world, or at least if it's information, it's still like on the computer, you know what I mean? That's Pentacles. That's taking something from the highest power and putting it into physical manifestation, which is the entire point of this existence, right? Is taking these things and materializing them. And so, again, huge potential here. What I like about the Two of Pentacles is the infinity symbol. That's kind of creating flow between these two things. I mean, here we're just saying that there's balance. These Two Pentacles, you're balancing multiple things. If you're balancing relationships, balancing this idea that you're putting into motion, balancing your health. Don't get too lost in the weeds in any one thing. Make sure that you are holistically set up well. Make sure you're paying attention to your body. Make sure you're resting when you need to. Make sure you're giving yourself time to process information. And then you're showing up and doing the work. And you're not neglecting your relationships if they're important to you. So you're going to be quite busy, but I think you're going to be running your energy in a way that's efficient enough to where I don't think you're going to get too tired. There's a little bit of a risk of a burnout with Four of Swords, but I think you're going to be fine because I don't feel the burnout. I just feel the risk or the approach and then the pullback that you need to do. And so that's all about the balance, right? I'm getting a particular emphasis on the belly and heart space, and I said that again. I said that with the Princess of Swords, where it's like, give your mind a break. That's Four of Swords too, give your mind a break. You can't get downloads from the universe if your mind is running its story. You know what I mean? And so give your mind a break so that you can get all the goods. And if you refocus on your belly and your heart this month, bring it back online, bring it back into alignment with the rest of you, you're going to be in a much more solid place where you're just going to feel so much better because you're aligned, okay? When you bring all those communication channels online, you have so much more potential to like do good work because it's real for you, it's authentic, it's beyond what I can say, because why else would you be doing? Why do you want a brain in a jar? I don't understand. I've never understood it. So pay attention to all of you, and you will. This Two of Pentacles is saying you will. The karmic cycle here, the path of destiny here, is making sure that everything is online, every inch of your body, every piece of your soul, the intuition that comes from your belly, not your mind, the heart space that is kind of the mediator between the rest of you, if it's online, is going to put you in such a good position in terms of your own energetic framework within your own body. It's going to give you more ability to pay attention to multiple things at once in terms of your holistic being and health. And it's like you'll still have time to do the thing, to do the work, to really engage yourself. And it's just going to fill you with so much happiness. I feel tears coming to my eyes, and I'm not like I don't cry, but I feel the tears coming to my eyes kind of energetically because of how big of a shift this is for you. And I see that with the Death card as well. This is such a big shift in your being and how you operate in the world. It's like you're changing your mode of operation entirely. if you're really doing this work. So, because you're stepping into this new year as a different person, the universe is going to mold itself around you in a completely different way. You're going to be looking at a different reality because you are a different person, and it starts with you, Leo. You know that. So, good potential. How do I wrap all that back up? Health looks good. Give yourself a break sometimes. Wealth. Pull back. Let any projects that just aren't working for you anymore die out so you can refocus on the things that matter. Break the ego identification with whatever work in the world that you're doing. Align yourself with your heart and your belly, which will align you with the greater energetic integrity, spiritual integrity of what you're doing, so that you can put something out into the world at a later date that is authentic, meaningful, does good work in the world, and displays your unique genius in a way that the world has never seen. Relationships, all about truth this month. Air your truths. Ask for truth if the other person isn't being honest. Clarify your position and your place with the people in your life. Once you do that, you're going to release a lot of old energy, and you're going to be able to move forward in your relationships in an authentic way. Those of you not in relationships, clear your shame stories, and that is going to free up the energy. Once you clear those shame stories, actually regardless of whether you're in a relationship, clear the shame stories. That will lead you on this path where you can connect with the divine in a way in which you can ask for help, receive help, protect your idea, and release it with the help of the universe, creating a divine co-creation that is going to blow anything out of the water that you could do yourself. Okay? You are the channel, right? You are stepping into 2021. By 2021, you are stepping into a new version of yourself. You are not the same person you were last year. The key to doing that is to let go of all energy that doesn't serve you, all projects that don't serve you, all people that don't serve you, all personal shame story narratives that don't serve you. You're going to drop into your body in a way that aligns your heart and belly with your mind, creating a more balanced way of life, a more balanced dynamic with other people in your life, a more balanced and healthy relationship with your work in the world, ultimately allowing you to do things you couldn't do before because of the way that you're running your own energy. That is massive. I feel like there's an entire year of work in this month, in this fucking reading. So if you have a personal concern and you would like to discuss, plan, clarify, get support, heal, get resources, anything that you need for your particular process, however they're showing up for you, please schedule something with me. I offer 30 minutes and hour-long sessions, and that is plenty of time to get you in the position that you need to be in. So I would love to meet you. Please schedule something. If you need support, reach out. Hit like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see the next Leo video, and I will see you guys next year in January when you are brand new people.